There is a stirring deep within the hearts of many who yearn for a life that transcends the constraints of daily struggle and mere survival. It is not a selfish ambition, but an echo of a greater calling, one that beckons us to step into a space where resources flow freely and faithfully. This inner prompting suggests that prosperity might be more than a fleeting dream, more than a worldly chase for status or comfort. Instead, it resonates with a truth that has been woven into the fabric of spiritual wisdom for centuries. People often search in countless places for answers: self-help books, motivational seminars, even financial advisors, yet a timeless source of guidance waits to be rediscovered. The narratives of ancient scriptures are filled with examples of those who uncovered not just riches, but a balanced and purposeful life. If these individuals found enduring wealth that did not corrupt their souls, but instead opened avenues for generosity, service, and spiritual growth, then perhaps their path is one worth examining. There is something deeply reassuring about knowing that the guidance we seek is not novel. It does not rely on trends or market swings. It stands firmly upon principles that have guided generations before us toward meaningful prosperity. Countless times, though, modern thinking has pulled us away from this foundation. We often get caught in the rat race, believing that success is found by simply trading our hours for wages or by obsessively chasing the next promotion. But what if true success is anchored in wisdom that transcends economic conditions and personal limitations? What if the key to genuine financial growth lies not merely in human ingenuity, but in aligning with higher principles that direct us toward honor, humility, and compassion? Such a perspective requires a shift in our mindset. It calls us to examine not only how we earn money, but also the motivations behind our quest. If the pursuit of wealth rests solely on self-serving ends, it might lead us down a path of hollow accomplishments. In contrast, if the pursuit is guided by the desire to uplift others, to invest in dreams that benefit families, communities, and future generations, then wealth becomes a tool of transformation. It ceases to be an idol and becomes an instrument for good. The stories of those who have walked this path remind us that courage is often required. They faced criticisms and overcame their own doubts. Their success did not happen overnight. It was forged in seasons of preparation, molded by the discipline to learn, to adapt, and to remain faithful even when circumstances seemed bleak. Through it all, the consistent thread was an unwavering commitment to spiritual truths and a trust that wise stewardship would ultimately bear fruit. As we begin this shared journey of exploration, consider the possibilities that arise when our hearts are open to receiving divine wisdom for building wealth. Imagine a life free from the suffocating burden of debt and scarcity, a life marked by joy in giving, secure in the knowledge that every resource can serve a purpose far greater than ourselves. That vision might feel distant, but this process is about taking one step at a time, recalibrating our approach to finances, and seeing every resource as a sacred trust. The barriers that stand before us, whether they are lack of resources, debt, or fear, can be transformed into stepping stones when aligned with timeless principles that teach us how to manage money with accountability and vision. If there is a spark within you, let it ignite hope for something more. Lean into the promise that a life of abundance is not a myth reserved for a few. With faith, perseverance, and an eagerness to learn, we can begin to unravel the secrets that have guided many before us to stable, lasting prosperity. This is not a journey of overnight miracles, but a process of nurturing seeds of wisdom, diligence, and trust. As we walk together, our perspective on money will evolve from a purely transactional tool into something that reflects character, intention, and service to a higher calling. In the chapters of ancient wisdom lies a blueprint that transcends time. Let us uncover it with humble hearts and determined spirits, ready to build a new foundation that stands the test of every storm, every market shift, and every doubt that once kept us from embracing the fullness of what was always meant for us. The longing to break free from financial limits often begins with a small, seemingly impossible dream. Sometimes it is the desire to own a home where children can grow and play, a safe haven that signifies stability and warmth. Other times, it is the hope of no longer being bound to a job that depletes energy without kindling passion. We might imagine launching a business that not only flourishes economically, but also fosters creativity and community. In many ways, these desires hint at a deeper truth that our aspirations can be aligned with a divine purpose, allowing prosperity to flow in ways that are both practical and profoundly meaningful. Yet, in a world saturated with fixes, it can be easy to lose sight of the deeper calling behind financial well-being. We get bombarded with marketing promises of overnight fortunes and shortcuts to riches. Many latch onto such claims, only to find themselves disillusioned and at times worse off financially than before. Genuine wealth building, however, consistently proves to be a gradual process that demands patience, integrity, and discernment. This is a truth that resonates with those ancient scriptures, which often depict growth as a natural progression, akin to planting a seed and tending it until it bears fruit. The crucial element lies not in the speed of the harvest, but in the quality of what grows. A short-lived windfall that arrives without understanding or ethical grounding tends to vanish as quickly as it came. Conversely, wealth that is cultivated with diligence, generosity, and a clear understanding of its higher purpose is more likely to endure and multiply in unexpected ways. This point cannot be overstated. Money, in and of itself, is neutral. Its effect is determined by how we handle it, the attitudes we hold toward it, and the intentions we nurture in its use. If left unchecked, greed can consume our better judgment, leading us astray into schemes and unwise ventures. On the other hand, if approached with wisdom, accountability, and a sense of responsibility to something greater, money can open doors to transformation not only in our personal lives, but in the well-being of those around us. Ancient wisdom literature is filled with stories of individuals who possessed both great wealth and great humility, suggesting that these qualities need not be at odds with each other. In fact, humility often serves as the anchor that keeps prosperity from becoming prideful and destructive. It is a continuous process of remembering the source of our blessings and understanding that success is not a solitary achievement, but a tapestry woven from various threads: faith, opportunity, relationships, perseverance, and of course, personal choices. Embracing this perspective paves the way for a life that is grounded, stable, and open to continued growth. Just as important as the personal benefits of wealth is the recognition that a generous spirit can multiply blessings far beyond our imagination. When resources are shared to uplift others, by supporting education, healthcare, small businesses, or community initiatives, they become catalysts for positive change. The knowledge that our prosperity can extend to our neighbors and even to strangers fosters a sense of purpose that transcends mere accumulation of assets. Wealth can shift from a self-focused pursuit to a community-building mission that resonates with the deepest call of humanity to love and to serve. The journey into this deeper understanding of wealth is both empowering and challenging. It tests our ability to remain steadfast in a culture that often prioritizes quick gratification and superficial measures of success. But for those who persist, who choose to align their financial strategies with enduring principles of service, prudence, and moral fortitude, the outcome is well worth it. There is a profound fulfillment that emerges when each financial decision, whether it involves earning, investing, or giving, becomes a reflection of divine alignment. It is an intimate partnership between earthly diligence and heavenly guidance. With this in mind, each step we take on the path to prosperity can become an act of faith in action. It may seem paradoxical to suggest that the secret to financial breakthroughs has more to do with character and spiritual insight than it does with raw numbers, but the testimonies of countless individuals confirm this truth. When the heart is rightly aligned, practical steps become infused with momentum and favor that defy purely logical explanation. Doors of opportunity open, networks form, and our efforts seem to yield more than they should. This phenomenon might be described by some as luck, but for those walking in faith, it is a reminder that the divine hand works in tandem with human responsibility. True prosperity is rarely a standalone product of personal talent. Rather, it emerges from collaboration between the divine and the diligent, the gift and the giver, the wisdom gleaned from ancient sources, and the willingness to adapt them to modern challenges. Those who understand this dynamic often approach financial planning with reverence. They see money as something entrusted to them, not merely for personal gain, but for shaping a future that benefits many. This mindset also nurtures resilience. Financial storms will come, whether in the form of a recession, an unexpected expense, or personal hardship. However, resilience, grounded in both spiritual confidence and practical preparedness, transforms what could be ruinous into a stepping stone toward deeper insight. Instead of being shaken to the core, those who hold fast to foundational truths rebound, adapt, and sometimes even flourish in adversity. In effect, they learn to stand firm when others falter, reflecting a distinct kind of strength that is both humble and formidable. Such resilience further highlights why community matters. We are not made to navigate these complexities alone. Leaning on wise counsel, sharing burdens, and celebrating victories together builds a web of support that amplifies our efforts. Whether it is an accountability group, a circle of friends with similar financial goals, or a mentor who has walked a similar path, the shared wisdom and encouragement can make all the difference. Moreover, the act of giving back and pouring into others, especially when we have faced similar struggles, forms a cycle of blessing that enriches everyone involved. Shifting our perspective on wealth invites us to see ourselves as participants in a grander story rather than self-sufficient individuals pursuing personal success. It calls us to remain attentive to inner transformation as much as outward growth. The process refines us, forcing us to confront impatience, fear, and greed, replacing these with patience, trust, and generosity. In essence, each financial decision becomes a microcosm of character development. Of course, this is not a one-time epiphany, but an ongoing commitment. We might rise and fall, face missteps, or get sidetracked by fleeting temptations of selfish gains. Yet, if we remember the deeper reasons behind our pursuit, if we cling to the underlying principles of stewardship and love, we find ourselves continually guided back to the path of sustainable, meaningful prosperity. The invitation is open to all, regardless of current financial standing. Whether someone has minimal resources or has already amassed substantial assets, there is always a next level of growth. Sometimes those with less in material terms actually possess a richness of faith and innovation born from necessity. Meanwhile, those with more resources can expand their influence by tackling larger projects or investing in ventures that create jobs and serve communities. The core question remains the same for everyone. How will we use what we have to shape a better tomorrow? This is where the eternal meets the temporal, where the intangible becomes visible through action. The fruit of such a life is evident, not just in spreadsheets and portfolios, but in the overall well-being, joy, and sense of purpose that accompany material success. Indeed, the voice calling us into higher realms of abundance is not offering mere dollars. It offers a holistic life transformation in which money becomes a servant rather than a master, a tool to accomplish good rather than a tether that chains us to constant worry. As we delve deeper, let our hearts remain teachable. The most significant changes often come about when we are willing to embrace new revelations and unlearn old ways that no longer serve our goals. Through consistent, faith-filled action, mountains of impossibility can be leveled into plains of opportunity, showing that the real power behind wealth building lies in the synergy of principle, purpose, and practice. In moving toward this more profound understanding of finances, it is helpful to consider how external messages can shape our views. From an early age, many absorb the notion that wealth is intrinsically linked to moral compromise, or that a humble life must always be a life of lack. These perspectives can embed themselves in our subconscious, creating internal barriers to growth. Equally problematic are cultural ideals that idolize extravagant living, equating self-worth with luxury possessions. Disentangling from these polarizing narratives paves the way for balanced living. Once we recognize wealth as neither inherently virtuous nor inherently evil, we gain the freedom to pursue it with integrity. It is a form of responsibility to unlearn beliefs that foster mediocrity or discontent, and to adopt truths that empower us to aim higher. As this reorientation may involve redefining success altogether, shifting away from superficial markers like cars, houses, or status symbols, and focusing instead on indicators of lasting well-being and impact. It is a process of realigning personal aspirations with a blueprint that cherishes internal transformation as much as external accomplishments. When we choose this path, gratitude naturally begins to emerge. Instead of constantly chasing after what we lack, we start to see and appreciate all that we do have. This grateful posture is critical because it prevents discontent from taking root and overshadowing the journey. Gratitude also fosters generosity. When we recognize the blessings in our lives, we become more willing to share them, trusting that by pouring into others, we are participating in a divine rhythm that always provides enough. To many, this may seem counterintuitive. Shouldn't we store up every last penny for ourselves in order to reach our financial goals faster? Yet countless testimonies reveal how those who give freely often receive in ways that exceed their initial sacrifice. It is as though the act of generosity aligns us with a universal principle that those who loosen their grip on possessions find themselves receiving more than they ever released. This doesn't negate the importance of planning and prudent saving. Indeed, budgeting and investing remain essential components of any wealth-building strategy. But these actions become more powerful when undergirded by a spirit of giving and a heart of stewardship. When we hold our assets with open hands, we invite opportunities that closed fists might never allow. We also expand our capacity to connect with others in genuine ways, whether through philanthropic endeavors, business partnerships, or collaborative projects that fuse ethics with enterprise. Integrity, then, becomes the compass guiding every financial decision. Embracing honesty in negotiations, treating employees and business partners ethically, and ensuring that profits do not come at the expense of moral or ecological harm are all tangible expressions of integrity. In a world where profit can sometimes overshadow principle, standing firm in ethical guidelines creates a reputation that pays dividends in trust and loyalty. Over time, this culture of integrity can become a brand identity if one is running a venture, or simply a personal hallmark of character if one is navigating the professional sphere. The consistency of such an approach can open doors that shortcuts and dubious deals can never secure. With integrity at the forefront, even setbacks or slower growth cycles carry meaning. They become learning opportunities rather than sources of despair. Friends, colleagues, and customers often rally around someone whose commitment to ethical behavior is unwavering, fueling a kind of moral capital that bolsters real-world capital. Seen in this light, wealth accumulation and ethical commitment are not enemies. Rather, they form a dynamic duo, driving a cycle of trust, innovation, and collaboration that benefits everyone involved. This synergy underscores why wealth building should never be divorced from the moral and spiritual dimensions of our lives. True prosperity unfolds in a realm where faithfulness to core values is as essential as the figures on a balance sheet. Such a holistic approach not only offers a more sustainable financial future, but also enriches personal well-being. We begin to witness how each dimension of life, relationships, spirituality, finances, physical health, interconnects, forming a cohesive structure that supports the entire person. Navigating this path is rarely simple, but it is worth every step. Each day becomes an invitation to walk with purpose, ensuring that our words and actions resonate with deeper convictions. The moments of doubt and the hurdles we face serve as crucibles, refining our priorities and revealing where our true allegiance lies. When the storms of life come, and they inevitably will, we are far less likely to be toppled. Instead, we remain anchored, knowing that our foundation is built on more than fleeting market trends or hollow endorsements of success. It is during these challenging times that we often rediscover the power of prayer, meditation, and reflective solitude. Seeking spiritual direction can clarify options, calm anxieties, and reignite hope. A quiet heart is better able to discern which paths align with our destiny and which are distractions. For some, these contemplative moments bring a renewed sense of direction, leading to decisions that might look illogical to the outside world, but are perfectly aligned with a higher design. Perhaps it is the choice to invest in a community project rather than chase faster personal gain, or the resolve to turn down a business partnership that promises quick profit but compromises essential values. When we quiet the noise and tune into this deeper frequency, we often perceive guidance that transcends human logic. This is not about passivity or a refusal to engage with practical realities. Instead, it represents a sacred dance between action and surrender. We do our part, applying the wisdom, skills, and resources available to us, yet we remain open to direction that might come from beyond our immediate calculations. The interplay of faith and works is a timeless principle. We plant the seeds through diligent labor, trusting that the growth and harvest are not entirely within our control. Such humility keeps our pursuits from becoming vehicles for arrogance. We learn to rejoice in our successes without attaching our identities exclusively to them. Likewise, we learn from our failures without being utterly defined by them. Each season of life, each phase of the journey, is an invitation to encounter deeper truths about who we are and who we serve. The transformation can be surprisingly liberating. As we shift focus from self-centric concerns to broader horizons, the stress around financial issues often lessens. We see that our security does not rest solely in what we can do for ourselves, but in a faithful partnership with divine principles that extend beyond our immediate vision. This perspective nurtures patience, a quality sorely needed in a fast-paced world. When we are patient, we invest our resources wisely, resist the lure of hasty decisions, and demonstrate resilience in the face of setbacks. One might argue that patience is an underrated financial tool. Those who practice it are less likely to fall prey to emotional trading, get-rich-quick schemes, or poorly vetted opportunities. They also tend to build networks of genuine relationships that last, rather than fleeting alliances based on transactional benefits. Such deep-rooted connections often bear fruit in unexpected ways, whether in the form of moral support during difficult times or collaborative breakthroughs that spark new ventures. Taken together, all these insights paint a portrait of wealth that is dynamic and expansive. It encompasses character formation, community impact, spiritual depth, and tangible financial success. This kind of wealth is not merely stored in bank accounts, it is woven into every aspect of life. It liberates rather than enslaves, builds rather than destroys, and heals rather than harms. Achieving such a balanced, multidimensional wealth requires continuous learning. To that end, reading widely, engaging with mentors, and attending workshops can complement personal meditation and prayer. Formal education, be it financial courses or specialized training, can sharpen the tools necessary for effective stewardship. Yet, the intangible elements of faith, ethics, and generosity must remain at the forefront, lest knowledge become an empty exercise. The journey can be further enriched by journaling one's reflections, obstacles, and victories. Writing has a way of crystallizing thoughts, revealing blind spots, and cementing lessons learned. Over time, These written records can become a testament to personal growth, reminding us of times when breakthroughs occurred against all odds, or when disappointments turned out to be blessings in disguise. This retrospective wisdom can be a guiding light for future decisions. In this process of cultivating a holistic prosperity, it is essential to recognize the importance of physical and mental well-being. Stress related to finances can corrode not only our emotional health, but also our capacity to make sound decisions. Engaging in healthy practices such as regular exercise, balanced nutrition, and sufficient rest should not be viewed as optional luxuries. They are integral components that fortify us against burnout and help maintain mental clarity. A balanced lifestyle also allows for the creativity and sharpness needed to spot opportunities for innovation. If we are constantly weighed down by fatigue or fraught nerves, we risk missing subtle indicators that could guide us toward fruitful endeavors. Moreover, when we neglect our health, no amount of wealth will suffice to restore what is lost. Recognizing this truth keeps us grounded, reminding us that wealth building is a marathon, not a sprint. Rest, reflection, and joyful experiences add richness to life, fueling our motivation to continue and preventing the harmful buildup of stress. It is at this junction, where the spiritual, the physical, and the mental intersect, that a regular breathing practice can serve as a valuable anchor. One approach is sometimes referred to as a systematic counting and holding pattern that calms the mind and steadies the heart rate. You can begin by exhaling fully, then gently inhaling through the nose for a slow count of 4, holding your breath for a count of 7, and finally exhaling through the mouth for a count of 8. Repeating this cycle several times helps regulate stress responses and fosters a sense of calm. This technique, often called 4-7-8 breathing, helps keep anxiety at bay, allowing us to approach financial decisions and life challenges with clarity and composure. Deep, intentional breathing can be a daily reminder that life itself is a gift, that our capacity to strategize and plan depends on a well-nurtured body and spirit. In moments of frustration or discouragement, such as when facing an unexpected bill, a delayed project, or a market setback, taking a minute to practice this rhythmic breath can break the cycle of panic and restore a sense of perspective. We remember that no crisis is insurmountable and that solutions often emerge more readily when we are calm and collected. Far from being a frivolous New Age exercise, mindful breathing integrates well with a faith-based approach to life. It mirrors the idea of pausing before making impulsive decisions, turning inward to listen for spiritual direction rather than being swayed by external pressure or fear. In this light, every exhalation can symbolize release, letting go of anxieties, doubts, and preconceived limitations. Each inhalation becomes an act of receiving grace, wisdom, and renewed determination. Beyond the physiological benefits, such a practice enriches our journey toward prosperity by reinforcing the principle that we are not machines, nor are we meant to live at a relentless pace. We are living beings, created to operate in rhythms of work, rest, and reverence. When these rhythms are honored, we become more adept at handling life's ebbs and flows, financially and otherwise. Building upon the foundation of calmness and introspection, it is crucial to translate inner alignment into outer action. Often, people encounter life-altering revelations only to let them fade under the daily grind of routine and demands. The moment of clarity passes, and old habits resurface, derailing progress. This is why it is vital to follow insights with definitive steps. Taking tangible measures might include setting clear financial goals that reflect both personal aspirations and higher purposes. Whether that goal is paying off debt, starting a charity, or launching a small business, it provides a focal point that sustains motivation. Another step could be revisiting spending patterns to identify waste or realigning investments to channels that echo one's ethical and faith-based convictions. Even simple modifications like automating savings or scheduling regular reviews of one's financial status can create a structure that nurtures consistent growth. Accountability remains indispensable in this process. It could be a trusted friend, mentor, or spouse who consistently checks in, helping to maintain momentum and correct course if needed. There is wisdom in seeking guidance from those who have traveled similar roads and can offer insights that shorten our learning curve. Additionally, technology has made it simpler to track expenses, plan budgets, and even invest in socially responsible funds. Harnessing these tools thoughtfully allows for greater organization and frees mental space for innovation and deeper reflection. In parallel, an open heart remains essential. Financial planning and execution, while systematic, must stay flexible enough to pivot when divine nudges suggest a change of course. Perhaps a new opportunity arises that aligns perfectly with personal gifts, or a door closes on a long-held plan, prompting a reassessment. Those who remain open to realignment discover that even disappointments can be blessings in disguise. Such adaptability is part of the dynamic dance between our plans and the higher plans in motion, teaching us humility and reminding us that no single approach guarantees success in every season. It is equally important to engage with the broader world. Reading economic trends, following market shifts, and understanding global events can offer context for financial decisions. This does not mean becoming anxious or reactive, but rather staying informed so as to seize opportunities or avoid pitfalls. It fosters a mindset that straddles both the practicality of commerce and the eternal truths of stewardship. Over time, these varied efforts, personal discipline, community support, ethical grounding, spiritual guidance, begin to interweave into a cohesive tapestry of financial well-being. A shift occurs in how we approach daily life. Challenges that once seemed overwhelming become manageable tasks in a grander mission. Victories are no longer endpoints of personal triumph, but milestones of a continuing quest to use resources wisely. The outward signs of this shift might appear in a newly formed investment portfolio, a thriving enterprise that generates employment, or a family that breathes easier under the weight of reduced debt. Yet, the deeper sign is found in the heart's transformation, a sense of peace and clarity that runs counter to the anxiety so prevalent in the world. When we take stock, we realize that the wealth we accumulate must serve a purpose greater than mere accumulation. Then, whether we face surplus or scarcity at any given moment, we maintain a balanced view, trusting in the progression of seasons and the fidelity of principles that do not fail. This is how we become rooted and grounded, able to withstand both drought and downpour. It is in the steady application of truth that breakthroughs often arise, sometimes subtly and other times dramatically. The seeds planted in faith, watered by consistent effort, can yield a harvest that speaks not only to personal gain, but also to the uplifting of others. That is perhaps the greatest mark of lasting prosperity. It multiplies goodness, extends compassion, and broadens opportunities beyond the self. Each day provides another chance to sow and to reap, to refine our methods, and to deepen our commitment. It is a journey of discovery, requiring patience and a willingness to learn from every twist and turn. In the end, the tangible outcomes, such as a healthy bank account or a flourishing enterprise, are but a reflection of the unseen growth within. Indeed, it is the heart that truly dictates the trajectory of our financial destiny. As wealth increases, a crucial question emerges: what becomes of the soul? In some tragic cases, an accumulation of resources leads to spiritual stagnation or relational breakdowns, as personal identity becomes tethered to possessions. This underscores why an ongoing recalibration of priorities is necessary. Being intentional about generosity, spending quality time with loved ones, and fostering healthy spiritual practices can mitigate the subtle drift into materialistic obsession. At the same time, seeing wealth as a multiplier of possibilities can infuse life with greater meaning. For instance, increased finances could fund educational programs, creative endeavors, or philanthropic initiatives aimed at tackling societal issues. These ventures not only benefit recipients, but also enrich the giver's sense of purpose. Indeed, contributing to worthy causes often ignites further inspiration, creating a circle of motivation that enhances both personal growth and community impact. The measure of success transitions from a singular focus on net worth to a holistic perspective that evaluates how effectively resources are fueling positive transformation. In this light, wealth ceases to be about elitism or exclusivity. Instead, it becomes about stewardship, skillfully managing and redistributing blessings so they touch multiple lives and circumstances. The satisfaction derived from such stewardship transcends any fleeting pleasure bought by consumption. At times, a disciplined approach to preserving wealth can be just as important as the exuberance of giving. This can manifest in estate planning, ensuring that future generations are provided for without fostering entitlement. It might also include setting up trusts or foundations that perpetuate charitable work long after one's lifetime. These structures serve as vessels that carry forward values and principles, showing that wealth can be an enduring force for good. Still, the tension between saving and giving, between enjoying the present and securing the future, requires balance. Those who master this balance exemplify maturity, recognizing that true abundance accommodates joy in the moment and prudence for tomorrow. They savor blessings without succumbing to indulgence. They invest wisely without hoarding. They offer assistance without depleting themselves beyond their capacity. Through it all, the community aspect remains significant. Trusted advisors, such as financial planners, legal experts, and spiritual mentors, can offer perspectives that prevent one from becoming lost in the labyrinth of wealth management. Friends and family who share similar values can also reinforce the principle that wealth is not meant to isolate, but to unite in shared endeavors. Perhaps one of the most inspiring aspects of this journey is witnessing how prosperity can mend broken hopes. There are countless stories of individuals who came from disadvantaged backgrounds, hindered by limited opportunities or systemic barriers. Through a steadfast faith in higher principles, disciplined effort, and wise mentorship, they shattered those limitations. In the process, they not only changed their own lives, but paved the way for others in similar circumstances. Each triumph stands as a testament that wealth, approached with wisdom, can break chains of generational poverty and reshape entire communities. In carrying forth such transformations, we participate in a grand narrative of renewal and restoration. This broader vision helps to sustain enthusiasm, particularly in periods of stagnation or doubt. The unwavering commitment to learning, refining strategies, and trusting in the synergy between human diligence and divine provision keeps hope alive. There is a profound sense of peace that flows from knowing that every effort is part of a tapestry far larger than we can fully see. Even small acts, when motivated by genuine care, can ripple outward in ways we never imagined. In day-to-day life, then, wealth-building efforts are punctuated by moments of profound insight and gratitude. We pause to appreciate not just the monetary gains, but the intangible gifts, resilience, wisdom, compassion that the journey has revealed. We let these breakthroughs humble us, knowing that the trust we place in higher guidance is the bedrock upon which all else stands. Reflecting on this humbling realization can spark a cycle of continuous improvement, fueling a desire to learn more, do more, and love more. The deeper we go, the more we see that the potential for expansion is limitless. Far from being a static endpoint, prosperity is an evolving process, inviting us at every turn to reach for new levels of integrity, creativity, and generosity. At this stage of self-reflection and outward engagement, doubt can still whisper questions. Am I truly worthy of abundance? Will I misuse wealth if it comes in greater measure? Such anxieties highlight the necessity of ongoing introspection. It is wise to hold an attitude of healthy caution, acknowledging that wealth carries influence and can magnify either virtues or flaws. But fear should not paralyze us into inaction. Rather, it should motivate us to strengthen our ethical and spiritual anchors, ensuring that the capacity to handle resources grows alongside the resources themselves. Mentorship remains a significant asset here. Observing individuals who have navigated substantial wealth without compromising their integrity can provide living blueprints. These role models often exemplify habits of humility and self-control, revealing that it is possible to handle great influence while maintaining a posture of service. Similarly, stories those who fell from grace due to unchecked ambition or moral lapses serve as cautionary tales, underscoring the importance of accountability and transparent practices. In many respects, the path to sustainable prosperity mirrors the development of a healthy garden. You start with seeds, water, sunlight, and fertile soil. You weed out distractions and harmful pests. You prune excessive growth so the plants can become stronger. Over time, blossoms turn into fruit, but even the most beautiful garden requires maintenance, consistent care, vigilance, and a willingness to adapt to changes in climate. So it is with wealth. Even as it blooms, we must remain actively involved, monitoring investments, reassessing goals, and recalibrating our giving. This vigilance is not born from worry, but from respect for the process and a desire to honor the source of all blessings. It also involves celebrating milestones, acknowledging the progress made, and allowing a sense of gratitude to fuel the next phase of growth. For those who worry about the delicate balance between success and humility, it helps to remember that humility is not self-deprecation. It is the recognition that all our abilities and achievements are part of a larger framework and that we hold them loosely, always willing to share or redirect them for the greater good. There is a quiet confidence that emerges when we can say, "I am blessed, and I intend to use my blessings responsibly," without feeling the need to diminish our aspirations or apologize for the prosperity entrusted to us. By the same token, as we watch our resources multiply, we must not forget that each decision continues to shape our legacy. How we treat people in business dealings, how we respond to those less fortunate, how we manage success. These are the true indicators of our character. A philanthropic heart can open unimaginable doors, forging partnerships and alliances that cannot be purchased. Yet even philanthropic efforts demand discernment to ensure that we empower recipients rather than create dependency. This sense of responsibility can feel heavy at times, but it also yields profound satisfaction. Each morning becomes a chance to refine who we are, stepping into roles that advance personal growth and collective well-being. The synergy of faith, effort, and continuous learning weaves an unbreakable cord, binding us to a future that is both fruitful and purposeful. In living out this process, we become testimonies of what is possible when higher wisdom intersects with diligent action. We discover that the pursuit of wealth need not corrupt, but can instead be a spiritual practice, revealing facets of our character that remain dormant until tested by abundance. The fruit of these revelations not only nourishes us, it feeds a global hunger for hope, proof that finances can coexist with fidelity, that profits can coexist with principles, and that success can coexist with compassion. This is the deeper narrative that many hearts have longed to hear, especially in times when cynicism about wealth runs high. By walking this path authentically, we become living examples that defy the cynics and elevate the conversation around money and faith. It is striking how the financial journey intersects so profoundly with emotional well-being. As we grow in resources, unresolved issues of identity and worth can rise to the surface. Suppose someone has internalized a belief that they are undeserving of good things. Wealth may trigger guilt or subconscious self-sabotage. Conversely, if someone ties their entire sense of self to material status, they may become insufferably proud or insecure, always bracing for a loss that threatens their ego. Addressing these psychological and emotional undercurrents is essential. Therapy, counseling, or confiding in a trusted spiritual advisor can illuminate blind spots and help us cultivate a healthy self-concept. An honest examination of personal history, how parents handled money, what cultural messages were absorbed, how past failures affected our risk tolerance, can clarify current patterns and free us to make better decisions. Many discover that their financial problems are less about spreadsheets and more about mindsets. Once these deep-rooted issues are brought to light, transformation can begin. This inner work complements the external strategies of saving, investing, and giving. As mental barriers break down, we open ourselves to receive blessings without shame, to steward them without arrogance, and to share them without fear. This clarity allows creativity to flourish. Freed from the weight of destructive beliefs, we think in new ways, spot opportunities more readily, and persist when challenges arise. We may find ourselves evolving from reluctant earners to enthusiastic innovators, fueled by a renewed sense of possibility. This personal evolution often involves stepping into leadership roles. Whether within a family, a community group, or a business context, increased financial stability can position us to guide others. Leadership, when anchored in humility and love, becomes an extraordinary means of empowerment. The more we help others realize their potential, the more our own capacity to contribute expands. Such leadership does not require a formal title or status. It can be as simple as mentoring a neighbor on budgeting techniques, or as grand as creating an enterprise that hires individuals who have struggled to find employment. The measure of effective leadership is not control but multiplication, multiplying hope, knowledge, and resources so that people thrive collectively. This progression toward leadership fosters accountability. There is a stronger impetus to maintain integrity as others look to us for direction and example. Our words and actions are scrutinized, which can be daunting but also incredibly motivating. Knowing that our financial decisions can affect not just ourselves but our families, employees, and extended communities amplifies our sense of responsibility. Strangely enough, it can also bring joy. There is a profound sense of fulfillment in seeing those around us flourish because of choices we have made. This sense of joy often refuels our commitment during difficult seasons, reminding us that our efforts have significance far beyond the bottom line. The interconnectedness of it all becomes more evident day by day. Our financial well-being impacts our emotional health, which influences our relationships, which in turn shape our community, which can then affect our local economy and environment. Recognizing this web of impact encourages us to be more mindful, patient, and hopeful. Each step on the journey, whether a mundane task or a major milestone, is part of a grand design that we only partially perceive. As we proceed, layers of doubt peel away, replaced by quiet assurance. An assurance that, while we cannot control every factor, we are moving in harmony with unchanging principles that guide us toward goodness. And when doubt does resurface, we recall how far we have come. The changed mindsets, the new opportunities, the moments of unexplainable favor, all these testify that we are not alone in our endeavors. Hence, every challenge is a prelude to another chapter of growth, another layer of faith, another angle of vision that helps us see wealth not as an end, but as a dynamic and uplifting force. Nurturing a spirit of celebration is also vital. Too often, individuals delay joy indefinitely, waiting until they reach some lofty financial pinnacle. But our journey is enriched by moments of gratitude for what has already been accomplished, no matter how small. These celebrations can be personal, a quiet dinner where one reflects on progress, or communal, bringing together friends and family who have supported the journey. Recognizing how far we have come is a way of affirming the belief that we can go even further. Such a posture of celebration counters the relentless drive that can turn financial goals into unhealthy obsessions. A balanced approach reminds us that life is multi-dimensional, encompassing relationships, personal passions, and spiritual callings. There is no need to sacrifice everything for the sake of a number. By periodically pausing to acknowledge victories, we keep perspective. We see that while wealth is part of the picture, it is not the entire canvas. This practice of celebration may also serve as a point of testimony, encouraging others who are just beginning their own financial journeys. Our stories of progress, no matter how modest, can spark hope. It is inspiring to hear how someone overcame a mountain of debt, started a business from scratch, or turned a struggling enterprise into a beacon of opportunity for the community. These accounts remind us that real success stories are rarely glamorous at the start. They often begin in obscurity, forged by dedicated labor, unwavering faith, and the courage to keep going when success is not guaranteed. The more these narratives circulate, the more they dismantle the myth that wealth is restricted to a select few, or that one must compromise moral values to attain it. When people see tangible proof that aligned, principled living can yield both spiritual and material dividends, a cultural shift occurs. As entire communities and generations can be influenced, sowing seeds of hope and potential in places where despair once loomed. The significance of generational impact cannot be underestimated. When we model healthy financial habits, saving, investing, and giving for children and younger relatives, we impart a legacy that endures beyond our lifespan. We also teach them to approach money with reverence and responsibility. This instills in them a mindset that looks for ways to be a blessing rather than a burden. Over time, a lineage of wise financial management can replace cycles of lack and mismanagement. Watching younger generations pick up the baton and run with it, innovating further, can be one of life's greatest rewards. It confirms that our labors were not in vain, that the principles we championed continue to resonate. Indeed, a powerful generational legacy extends beyond genes or names. It includes a transfer of principles, ethics, and paradigms that can sustain prosperity in changing times. The knowledge that our influence might stretch decades or centuries beyond our own lives inspires us to remain steadfast. It helps us make tough decisions that protect long-term stability rather than chase short-lived gains. It encourages us to keep learning, staying open to new insights that refine our approach and improve our capacity to serve. In this blend of inward transformation and outward responsibility lies a vision for wealth that is as practical as it is profound. It is not an abstract ideal floating on lofty phrases, but a concrete roadmap that has been tested and proven in countless lives. The willingness to risk, to learn, to adapt, and to trust forms the bedrock on which enduring financial freedom can be built. For many, the final realization is that such freedom is not only about personal liberation from debt or limited choices. It is about discovering and fulfilling a broader calling, one that may involve being a pillar of support for others, a catalyst for social change, or a messenger of hope in a dark hour. Even with all these insights, we must not assume that the journey will be free of further challenges. Indeed, as resources grow and influence expands, new obstacles can emerge, more complex decisions, heavier responsibilities, and the potential for envy or misunderstanding from those who do not share the same perspective. Yet, these challenges can be met with equanimity if the bedrock of purpose and principle is secure. We continually rely on the disciplines that brought us this far: prayer or meditation, honest introspection, open dialogue with trusted allies, and a willingness to recalibrate our plans under spiritual guidance. This cyclical process of renewal ensures that we never become complacent. Instead, we remain lifelong learners, open to fresh revelations and progressive steps. Life, in its fullness, offers innumerable lessons that can deepen our capacity for empathy and enhance our vision of what is possible. If at any moment pride begins to creep in, the simple remembrance of how we started keeps us humble. Reflecting on initial struggles, mistakes, or scarce resources reminds us that every advancement was a product of divine favor coupled with perseverance. Such humility does not dampen our joy, it enriches it, keeping the heart soft and the mind teachable. Moreover, wealth can become a channel for reconciliation and healing. If past family rifts or community tensions stemmed from economic pressures, newfound resources and wisdom can create pathways for forgiveness and restoration. funding a nephew's education, offering interest-free loans to family members to start their ventures, or sponsoring community development programs can mend wounds that once seemed irreparable. In such instances, money acts not just as currency but as an olive branch, an expression of love and second chances. These stories of reconciliation imbue our prosperity journey with a greater sense of mission. They prove that abundance, handled responsibly, can erase old boundaries and forge new bonds of unity. And the ripple effect continues outward, showing neighbors and onlooth that can indeed be a force that brings people together rather than drives them apart. This narrative stands in stark contrast to the divisive models we often see, where large disparities in wealth sow resentment or exploitation. By showcasing an alternative, one anchored in compassion and equity, we contribute to a societal shift that upholds shared prosperity as a viable and noble pursuit. Like any evolving narrative, there may come a time when our personal chapter of active wealth accumulation reaches a natural end. Perhaps we step down from leading a company, pass on responsibilities to a younger team, or decide to retire from active management. This transition need not signal a closure of influence. Rather, it opens a new phase of mentorship, philanthropy, or reflection where the fruit of our journey can be intentionally passed on. We might devote more time to guiding others, documenting lessons learned, or expanding charitable endeavors. Embracing this season with grace allows us to experience the culmination of the seeds sown over the years. We see the orchard we help plant bear fruit for many, and the fullness of our vision realized in ways that may even exceed our earliest dreams. Ultimately, this entire journey is a testament to the power of hope and faith in transforming not just material circumstances, but the very core of human existence. What starts as a spark of possibility, perhaps spurred by a random encounter, a piece of timeless wisdom, or an unshakable sense of calling, eventually ignites a transformative fire that reshapes our destiny. And as that fire spreads, it lights up pathways for others, turning a solitary ambition into a communal awakening that touches families, neighborhoods, and even nations. For those still on the fence, uncertain whether to commit to this path of principled wealth building, consider the cost of inaction. Remaining in financial struggle or adopting a cynical perspective toward resources often leads to stunted dreams and unfulfilled potential. Resignation is a heavy burden to carry, draining energy and hope. Yet a single decision to engage, to learn, to strive can unlock doors that once seemed sealed shut. The initial steps may be small, a commitment to set aside a tiny fraction of income, a decision to read a single book on money management, or a moment of prayer asking for clarity and courage. Yet these small actions can escalate into life-altering transformations. Each layer of growth reinforces the next as we gain momentum and discover that with every challenge conquered, confidence rises. Before long, we realize that what once seemed impossible, like clearing large debts or funding ambitious projects, has been accomplished through faith-infused strategies and wise execution. Along the way, patience becomes a close ally. We realize there is no instant formula for real wealth, no magic bullet that can bypass the necessity of diligence, discipline, and perseverance. This acceptance frees us from the tyranny of chasing illusory shortcuts, allowing us to devote our energy to sustainable practices and incremental gains. Ironically, it is often in this steady, purposeful approach that breakthroughs occur, surpassing what hasty efforts might achieve. Relationships also deepen and broaden, as like-minded individuals take toward a shared sense of mission. When alliances form around a unifying vision rather than superficial profit, the resulting bonds are far stronger. These relationships become catalysts for mutual support, creativity, and collective impact. Opportunities for collaboration and synergy multiply, each participant bringing unique strengths to the table. In due time, the accumulation of wisdom, resources, and connections paints a future more expansive than any single individual could have orchestrated alone. Perhaps that is the greatest revelation of all, that prosperity is communal. The blessings we receive and the abundance we cultivate are not meant to remain in our possession alone. The more we invest in others, the more the entire community flourishes, creating an environment ripe with opportunities for everyone to elevate their circumstances. In such an atmosphere, competition gives way to collaboration, and scarcity is replaced by the understanding that abundant resources, ideas, and inspirations are available for those willing to trust, share, and innovate. That realization breathes life into every plan and every dream, aligning them with a rhythm that transcends personal ambition. It is akin to joining an orchestra where each instrument, though distinct, contributes to a majestic symphony. The individual's success resonates across the collective, and the collective's harmony amplifies each individual note. This dynamic interplay reflects the ultimate potential of wealth to become a melody of unity and growth that resonates far beyond one lifetime. The final insight that crowns this journey is the profound connection between gratitude and generative power. Gratitude is not merely a passive feeling, it is an active force that fuels resilience, creativity, and hope. And when we focus on what we have rather than what we lack, we open ourselves to receive more. Gratitude fosters a mindset that sees possibilities where others see dead ends. It disarms cynicism and tempers envy, reminding us that every good gift, including the capacity to earn and manage wealth, is a reflection of a benevolent source. As we cultivate a consistent practice of gratitude, whether through daily affirmations, journaling, or simply pausing to give thanks at the end of the day, we create an internal environment conducive to growth. Even scientific research suggests that grateful individuals experience higher levels of satisfaction, lower stress, and stronger relationships. These factors, in turn, form a robust support system for financial well-being. Moreover, gratitude enlarges our capacity for generosity. When we appreciate what we have, giving becomes a spontaneous act rather than a forced obligation. This cycle of giving and receiving creates a thriving ecosystem in which personal growth and communal uplift happen concurrently. Each gift, no matter the size, becomes a seed planted in fertile ground, producing fruit in surprising and life-giving ways. The synergy between gratitude and prosperity also reinforces that wealth is not an isolated objective but a holistic state that interlaces spiritual, emotional, relational, and financial dimensions. The deeper we delve into gratitude, the more we see how each dimension supports the others. We might discover that an unexpected financial windfall arrived at the precise moment it was needed to help someone else, or that a heartfelt act of kindness opened a door that no amount of calculated planning could unlock. Such instances defy purely transactional logic, revealing a higher order of connection and reciprocity that envelops and guides our endeavors. Concluding this journey, we stand at a crossroads where knowledge meets action, where faith intersects with duty. The calling is clear: to live in a way that harmonizes the pursuit of wealth with an unwavering commitment to principles that uplift the soul and serve the greater good. Those who heed this calling become not just financially prosperous, but also agents of transformation in their spheres of influence. A quiet revolution takes place, one that defies the narrative that money necessarily corrupts or divides. Instead, money becomes a tool to cultivate unity, foster justice, and magnify compassion. This, then, is the invitation extended to each of us to rise to the challenge and privilege of carrying forward a vision of prosperity that is both deeply personal and gloriously collective. It is a summons to weave into our daily lives the timeless truths that exalt love, kindness, and stewardship above all else. By doing so, we affirm that wealth, far from being an end in itself, can be a conduit for grace, an overflow of goodness that touches every corner of our existence. May we walk forward with steady hearts, open minds, and a readiness to serve, knowing that our faith, aligned with focused action, holds the power to rewrite destinies, revitalize communities, and honor a divine mandate for abundant living.